Hello, everybody, and welcome to AIMBOT, our weekly segment where we do some consensual judging of actions to see who's in the right, who's in the wrong. Thank you, camera. And do some evaluation of some moral situations. I hope you are well. I hope you are feeling good. I'm actually feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty happy today. It's great. I've just gotten up, got a coffee. It's lovely to see you. Marenia, lovely to see you. Binge Think, hello. KJV, hello there. Victoria, hello. Apparently, I am Victoria, which is fantastic. I've always wanted to be a Victoria. Aimbot, am I morally bankrupt or them? It's a question. You ever had that question? You've gone like, basically it is. Was I a prick? Was that me? Are we the baddies? Are we the baddies? If you haven't seen that sketch, that is hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Oh, hello, Let's Farm. The one where they're basically the Germans in sort of Germany during World War II. I'm trying to avoid saying the name of them in the first half an hour of the stream. They're basically one's like, we've got skulls on our caps, and sort of realize, hey, are we the baddies? Like, are we the bad guys? So this is basically that. It's asking, am I the bad guy? Don't know. It's hard to tell, isn't it? But great for you to join me. What have I been up to? I've been working on my channel. I'm working on an advert because I don't have an advert or a banner. Hello, Captive Desk. Good to see you. Or any of the Marenia, you don't need permission to address me. I'm not royalty, like what? You shouldn't need permission. Actually, that's one of the things I learned when working in a corporate environment. Like, you don't need permission to contact anybody. If you want to contact the CEO, you can contact the CEO. Like, it's as long as you're professional and reasonable, it's fine. Definitely branch out and contact people. But yeah, it's been a good week for me. I think that yeah, I'm going to come up with an ad, and the format I've decided to be kind of humorous, things that I find funny, and things that certain individuals have said to me that I find very, very funny. So maybe it's a bit self-deprecating. I don't know. I like it. But just before I go, I mean, I like to present something first off before we get started on the whole aimbot thing. The whole thing. So I'm just going to share my screen here. Yeah. So let's see. So what I want to share to you, I came across this a while ago, and it's basically where's my view that I like? There we go. It's basically, this is Otzi. If you never heard of this guy, this is like a really, really old mummy, right? So it's incredibly old. Apparently he was born 3276 BC. So almost 5.5 years ago, or 5.2 like millennia ago, which is insanely old, and he's in really good condition because he was discovered in the Alps kind of thing, like in the mountains of the Alps. The pin's not coming up, but he was found around here in northern Italy. So just between the border to I think that's Austria. So like it was found by two German tourists, an elevation of 3.2 kilometers or 10,000 feet, 10,500 feet. The Otzel Alps, which is why he's named Otzi. Otzi. Really fascinating stuff. Well, I'm doing my best. How is Otzi pronounced? Utzi, Utzi. How that thing? How is that pronounced? How is that pronounced? Then you got a pronunciation.
So we hiked up here to the ice where they found the iceman's body. This is the exact spot where his gear was and where he was. And about 5 years ago, I started posting. Then
It's
called
not telling me how to say it.
and I got a lot of
Utzi, Utzi. Is Utzi right? Utzi, Utzi. All right, all right. I think I'm on it. I think I'm on it. I'm all over it. I got it. I got it. It's Utzi. Utzi. Other names: Utzi the Iceman, Silmorn Man, Man from Tenskosh, Man from Haspel. How can he be from? All right, Frozen Man, Frozen Fritz. All right, well, I'm going to call him Frozen Fritz because my Western mouth can actually pronounce that one. Frozen Fritz. All right. Yeah. So basically, this sort of mummified um um mummified it's been totally like examined, and what's fascinating is what they found out of this thing. So um they've tissues and intestinal contents, they've gone through all of that. He was only 5'3" right? So shout out to all the short kings out there, and short queens as well, absolutely. And weighed about 50 kilos. Well, that's after being mummified, but a really sort of tiny guy. So they found that his intestines showed two meals. Um, he had a few slices of dried fatty meat, probably bacon. Wheat grains were found. Um, the grain was eaten with both meals was processed acorn, which is a type of wild wheat, possibly eaten. See, this is the thing. Like, imagine you die, and then like 5,000 years from now, people are examining what you ate and sort of what you consumed before you. It's just weird, right? Like, it's so weird. And they even did hair analysis was used to examine his diet. Pollen in the first meal showed that it had been consumed in a mid-altitude conifer forest. I mean, to be able to look at someone's like hair and go, okay, we can tell by the pollen where he ate his meal, like several months before. Other pollens indicate the presence of wheat and legumes, which may have been domesticated crops. Pollen grains of hop hornbeam were also discovered. Like it's really cool. It's so cool. High levels of copper and arsenic were found in his hair. This, along with Otzi's copper axe blade, um, they speculate that he was involved in copper smelting. So we can see that he's a smelter. Frozen Fritz was a smelter boy. He smelted stuff. So Utzi's just Utzi's just living his best Minecraft life out here. And yes, I realize that like copper isn't in vanilla Minecraft. Just lay off, all right? Just leave me alone. Um, I play with mods too often. 3D scanning reproduction um, Apparently had an intestinal parasite, so they even knew like what parasites he had and stuff. Um, in like one of his fingernails shows that three Bose lines. Those are the lines that happen if you're sick, indicating he was sick 3 times in the 6 month before he died. In the last incident, 2 months before he died, lasts about 2 weeks. Um, but he had like 61 tattoos. They thought he was the oldest tattooed, like sort of human that they'd ever found, but they did find um, some mummies in Egypt which were tattooed as well. And it goes into all of the stuff. Like this guy's been examined down to the sort of fine thing, but they found him with um a copper axe, and this is the axe, right? It's just a tiny bit of copper on the end of a wooden thing kind of stuff. Big Bad Mama, stop. Like, seriously, that they're gonna say that, right? They're gonna say that. Actually, that's not quite true because the I think the flood was like no, this is pre-flood, yeah. So yeah, but we know that he wasn't killed in the flood. So his genetic analysis, Utsi belongs to subclade G. Um, Subclade of G, that's the haplogroup that moved out from I believe the original was L haplogroup. Yeah, Banfar belonged to the L166. So this mitochondrial DNA analysis is just amazing. They can tell where you came from. So sort of it fits with the out of Africa kind of thing. Yep, they still had intact blood cells. That's the oldest complete human blood cells ever identified. So the question is, like, this guy supposedly lived with dinosaurs, right? He supposedly lived with dinosaurs. So why can't we find a single dinosaur with DNA that we can analyze? They're all useless. It doesn't matter whether they're in, sort of what situation they're in. We cannot. Mind you, they do say that sort of Mary Schweitzer found a blood samples from a dinosaur. She didn't. She didn't. That's not true. That's not true. So, um, cause of death. Now, this is the fascinating part because, of course, any corpse we can basically say, like, look at it and say, okay, what wounds were caused at death? What's caused after death? We can tell whether they've crushed and sort of thingo. No, they can't. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. The flood's like 2000. I can't remember I'll find the timeline. Hang on a second. Old Testament timeline. Um, should just refer to Hovens because he's the expert on goddamn everything, right? Um, that's not very good. Yeah, so flood is usually put around 2300 BC or BCE. So this guy at 3000 something, that's like 1,000 years before the flood. Anyway, yeah, Utsi. X-rays and a CT scan revealed that Utsi had an arrowhead lodged in his left shoulder when he died and a matching small tear on his coat. The discovery of the arrowhead prompted researchers to theorize Utsi died of blood loss from the wound, which probably would have been fatal even if modern medical techniques had been available. Yeah, so he was basically shot by an arrow and bled out. Further research found the arrow shaft had been removed before death, and close examination of the body found bruises and cuts to the hands, wrists, chest, and cerebral trauma indicative of a blow to the head. So basically, someone shot him and then hit him on the head. One of the cuts was to the base of the thumb that reached down to the bone, but had no time to heal before his death. Currently, it believed that Utsi bled to death after the arrow shattered the scapula and damaged nerves and blood vessels before lodging near the lung. So, but they also they also did is analyzed the DNA from stuff on his coats and things. So, they claim to have revealed blood from at least 4 other people on his gear, 1 from his knife, 2 from a single arrowhead in his quiver, and a 4th from his coat. The interpretations is that the Utsi killed 2 people with the same arrow and was be able to retrieve it on both occasions, and obviously a different person with his knife, because this is all human blood, and the blood in his coat was from a wounded comrade he may have carried on his back. Utsi's posture in death: frozen body, face down, left arm bent across his chest. So face down, left arm across his chest, or across his chest this way. Could support a theory that before death occurred and rigor mortis set in, the Iceman, Frozen Fritz, was turned onto his stomach in an effort to remove the arrow shaft. So this is the Chad that is Utsi, that basically got shot, killed 3 people or something, got shot, and then died. And there's an alternate theory that sort of, he was in a warfare lower down and he was buried higher up. But whatever the situation, Utsi was doing Utsi things. He was taking people out and then got shot. So yeah, that's sort of the most interesting fossil that I'd seen, and it's really well preserved because, of course, being in the ice of the Alps, it has been really well preserved, kind of thing. So they put together this timeline, right? That hours before death. So he had a meal descending into the valley. They can tell by the pollen samples in his hair. Stab wound on right hand, wounds and abrasions, at least sort of 48 hours to 24 hours beforehand. He had another meal, and then he went back to the mountains. And they can all tell that through the pollen samples, which is insanely awesome. So he may have been engaged in a conflict, or a warfare with sort of, maybe he lived in the lowland. Maybe he went into the valley and got sort of into warfare, into a battle, and then sort of ran back up towards his home and got killed. We'll never know. But it's so cool how much information they can get from good old Utsi. Yeah, the good, the bad, and the Utsi. Paleo Rambo, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's a Utsi Wick. Yeah, he's Baba Yaga of the Paleolithic era. Yeah, absolutely. They call him Baba Yaga. Not quite accurate, because he wouldn't die, and Utsi definitely died. So, which is awesome, and sort of, it's stuff like this that we sort of go, wow, our knowledge about these things has moved so much. So, Big Bad Mum was talking about how, like, they'll say it's earlier or they say it's later. Look, can our religious beliefs stop interrupting, like, the scientific research that we're doing, please? Please. I just, yeah. No flood though. You'd expect the flood to destroy evidence like that. So I understand why Big Bad Mum is sort of saying, hey, it'll probably happen later, because, yeah, if you've got a guy that's been sort of buried in the ice, and found by tourists, kind of thing, so he's quite near the surface, your flood myth doesn't work, because if he died 1,000 years before the flood, and there was a flood that covered all the mountains, yeah. The Sacrum comment. Someone died, which is awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Well, no, it's more the forensics that they're doing on it. They're like doing modern day forensics on a corpse 5,000 years old and coming up with a timeline for their death. I mean, talk about your forensic science. Like you are doing some awesome forensics there, which is just incredible. Yeah, binge thinker, totally. We keep learning religions are stale. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But what are we doing today? Today we're going into Reddit's Am I the Arsehole? We're looking to see who is right, who is wrong, who deserves punishment, who is Utsi. Definitely who is Utsi, because Utsi is a Chad. I'm gonna do up my little thingo here. Um, Poster is awesome, like Utsi. Yeah, so yeah, I'll get started in a second. You think I would have set this up in the time I took to set up, but of course not. I mean, why would you ever do that? Um, why would you ever did that? Okay, that'll do. Did the guys that found him get cursed? I mean, I hope so. I hope so. I want to know what tourists are doing up there. I suppose it is the Alps. I guess that's okay. Is it weird that I'm curious about what his penis was like? Well, there wasn't much of it left. Apparently, like they said, the people that found it said it had been removed, but it hadn't been removed. But he was very, very badly mummified. So I don't think we could get a lot of information out of it. Um, all right. Who's ready to begin? Who wants to begin? Now, just for reference, I haven't seen these either the first time I've ever looked at them, never seen them before. We'll see what we've got here. And the first one, I'm going to upvote prematurely because a grieving dad. Oh shit! All right. Well, yeah. I'm sorry. I don't know what you're grieving for. Am I the arsehole for not sharing my late son's life insurance with his girlfriend? Well, that answers that question. Oh, that's terrible. My son Eric passed away in an accident in October of last year. He was 33. That's really young. I wonder what killed him. I mean, how old was Utsi? Look, I'm really sorry, but everything this stream, whoops, everything this stream is going to be compared to Utsi. Everything this stream. About 45 years of age. No shit. Utsi outlived him. That's terrible. That's terrible. Yeah, it was very cold. It was very cold, Marenia. Ah, SG. Big heart to you, buddy. I think you should, Big Bad Mama. I think you should do it. Definitely. You should do it. You can call it the Utsi Diaries. Definitely. Um, they purchased their home together in June of last year. The house was 525,000. They put down 225,000. They each paid half the down payment and been splitting the mortgage equally, as well as all of the rest of their bills. She makes about 80,000 per year after taxes. The house mortgage is 1,775 grand per month. Well, just 1,775. Sorry. My son has a life insurance that paid out 750,000. About 6 months before he passed, my son mentioned he was thinking about proposing, but it would be a few years before we actually married. In a later conversation, he mentioned plans to update his life insurance because he wouldn't want to leave a wife with nothing. That was all that was ever said about it. Isn't that enough? Like, seriously? He was obviously like loved her. Obviously, he passed before he ever decided to propose. This means the entire life insurance went to me and my wife. Oh, that's terrible. Look, of only 2 years. Well, that's 2 years. June of last year. Okay, so they've been in the house almost a year together. You know what? Their common law marriage Like they're basically, yeah, no, I'm right with you, Marenia. I'm right with you. They're basically common law married. They're living together and acting as a husband and wife. In my book, just from my perspective, I think they're married. I was living with Lynn, my wife, for a long time before I married her. Because marriage didn't, not being religious, it didn't really mean that much to us. We didn't really care that much, but it was more, you have more legal status being married, and I don't know. I don't. I think that sort of going, well, they were just living together. That was just his girlfriend. No, no, no. My wife and I are both now late 50s. So they are boomers. Take that into account. We'd usually do okay financially, but losing our son has completely shaken our worlds, and we've taken some time off of work to process and grieve. Yeah, totally understand that, but somebody else is grieving as well. You know who else is grieving? Yeah, Emily. Emily's grieving as well. This money will allow us to pay off the rest of our mortgage, take stress off our lives while we grieve, and hopefully retire a couple of years earlier than we intended. We both had medical struggles, so this is a big deal. Our other son, Mike, came over for dinner yesterday, and we mentioned that we received his life insurance payout. He went quiet for a minute and asked how much money we're going to give Emily. I like you, Mike. I like the mic. I like the mic. The mic's thinking. Hello, Maya. So good to see you. Lots of love. We are aimbotting. We are judging silently. Well, actually, it's not silently. Actually, I'm talking, so it's certainly not silently. You missed out on Utsi. So, if you do want to find out about Utsi, and Utsi's death, Utsi's life, Utsi's meals, where Utsi spent his last 70 something hours, you're going to have to rewind the tape. No, I will go back to Utsi eventually. Utsi's not going to say. Anyway, other son Mike came over for dinner yesterday, and we mentioned that we received his life insurance payout. Yeah. He asked how much we're going to give Emily. We explained that we have good intentions to use the money to make our lives easier going forward. Fuck it. What? I mean, what? What about Emily? What about Emily? What about Emily? This is why our son left it to us to help out should anything tragic happen. Yeah, but he was talking about changing it. Oh, wow. Later, way after he left, Mike said he understands that we're grieving, but we're being selfish and narcissistic for not considering how tough this is for Emily and not even giving her enough to pay off his share of the house, if not the whole mortgage. He said, we're kidding ourselves if we think Eric would have wanted this. Yeah. Yeah. Like, that's the thing. Like, what would they have wanted should go through your head. Like, I understand that you have this situation that you want to. Would Eric have been happy with the love of his life, Emily, sort of living in hardship, trying to get through this? I've tried to keep emotions out of it and stick to the facts. All of us, my wife, my son, rest of the family, and Emily are absolutely devastated. Of course they are. I don't want people to think I'm heartless. Well, don't be heartless then. Come on now. Like, if your only motivation for doing something is that you don't want people to think of you in a certain way, that's not a good reason for doing things, in my opinion. You should be doing them because they're helping. They're the right thing to do for people's well-being, not because too long didn't read. Well, too late now. I mean, too late now. My son left his life insurance wife. I'm not sure if we're being assholes by not letting his girlfriend have some help with expenses. Okay, so that is a sort of, it's not really his girlfriend. It really is his de facto wife. He's been in the house. Just for clarification, the house they bought was expensive, but they paid more for the view. Shitty house on a gorgeous river than what has that got to do with anything? My son rented it for 3 to 4 years before it was put up for sale, and after 1.5 years of memories in it together, they couldn't walk when it went up for sale. Oh, okay. So your son rented the property, like he was he was the renter, not the rentee. Is that right? Yeah. The house itself is outdated and far from a dream home for either of them. They had plans to build a new one when eventually paid off the mortgage, just planned to do it in the meantime. Well, that's sad. That's really sad. I'm gonna put the poll, but I'm gonna come down on if you've got somebody who is living with somebody for more than like 6 months and they've been together for a while, like 2 years, that's basically a common law marriage as far as I'm concerned. Sort of arguing that, hey, they weren't technically married. A ring doesn't make you married. All right, hot take. Hot take. A ring doesn't make you married. Um, so just 1 second, and I will address your concerns and questions. And how much do you I think she should get? Um, I probably think that you could probably argue to give her a third or a half or a quarter, depending on how close they were, depending on how much she owes. Um, I mean, the life insurance was 750K. Um, the house was 525K. They put down 225, leaving about 300 left. Yeah, if they just paid off the mortgage, that would absolutely, you know, take some of the load off of Emily and sort of ha, you know um if you and your wife were elderly and had health issues, how much would you give her? Yeah, I'd pay off the mortgage. That's my son's. I don't have children, but if that's my son's de facto wife, that would be something I would do, because it's not about what I want, right? I've got to forget about what I want here. It's about what my son would want, and that's hard to tell. But I'd find it. I agree with Mike, the other son. Mike sort of says, Eric wouldn't have wanted this. He would have wanted his Emily taken care of. Yeah, yeah, no shit. He would have wanted Emily taken care of. And we don't, sort of do these things because it's what we want. We do it because it's what the person who is gone wants. They leave a legacy. They leave what they want to happen. And so um it's there's something about money that sort of just distorts everything. People do things that ordinarily they wouldn't do or they wouldn't see as fair. Um, yeah, you've been saying that for decades. Absolutely, mate. It's the only reason that Lynn and I got married was because of the legal problems you have like this. Because Emily could possibly, if they were married, she could challenge it. I'm not sure if she can challenge it when um, you know when she's not married, which kind of sucks. And it's the reason why gay people should be allowed to get married, because there are some situations that unless you're sort of legally married and not in a de facto or common law marriage, that you don't have access to. You may not be allowed to see your de facto or common law spouse um, in times of medical emergency, which is ludicrous because there's no difference in practicality between a common law or de facto spouse and actually a married person that has a marriage license. There's no difference. There's no difference. If you can name an actual concrete difference, like something in actuality, good on you. But you won't be able to if they live together. Your husband and wife essentially. Yeah, no, I agree. Mike knows where it's at. He knows, his brother better than his parents do. Yeah. And um yeah. No, totally. Totally. Why did listed beneficiaries? Well, I mean, okay, so when you're 33 and sort of thing, you're not thinking about where your money's going to go when you die. It's just not something that's on the bill. Um, yes, but the fact that he mentioned, like, even they said he mentioned plans to update his life insurance because he wouldn't want to leave a wife with nothing. Like, if you know your son has said that, right? If you know that your son has said, "Hey, I don't want to leave Emily with nothing if I ever pass away." All right, that just shows that you are not doing what your son wanted. Like, it doesn't matter what paperwork is there. If he said that, you're the asshole and big time. Yeah. Anything else? I'd say pretty much break all the rules of this group. Wow, Espolowski, you're just spitting fire. Your son literally told you what you wanted, and you want to update his life insurance policy specifically in this thing. Yeah, no, I agree with Wicked Witchley here. I totally agree. Your son Ellen lost her life. This is how all right. Reddit's not pulling any punches, even though you've lost your son. Yeah, life insurance isn't so people who don't depend on you financially can live a life of ease. It is lessen the financial burden. Yet socially unconscious. Wow, actually, it sounds like you're socially conscious. Ironic. The life insurance is there to um yeah, no, I would agree. Yes. Yes, that seems reasonable. I think that is reasonable, Big Bad Mama. I do. I do. Um, respect the wish of the dead, says GG. GG, hello. It's a pleasure to see you. Um, yeah, yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Um, I would hope if I died and life insurance was paid out to my parents that when I was with Lynn for 2 years, I would hope that they would take care of her. I really would. Like, that would make me sad to think that if I was gone, she would just be struggling with a mortgage and stuff like that. Eric's half of the house would be 150K. There may be other debts that he stared with, generally left behind. Round up to an even 200K. That's a very generous estimate. Yeah, so 200K. That comes out to Big Bad Mama's like one third. So I'm right on board. Yeah, yeah. You're the asshole. Yeah, no, I'm inclined to agree. Okay, can we please stop like died of embarrassment? Come on, these are still grieving people. Reddit, like, seriously. But yes, so life insurance is there, so the people that depend on them can be taken care of. If it's for the money that you wouldn't have got through working. He was not gonna give his working money to his parents, or maybe not all of it. Maybe he would have given some of it to help his parents with them health problems and things like that. But I don't think that his son was going to give his wages or his profit or whatever his income was to his parents to retire early. So that it's just them saying, "Hey, we want to retire early. We could give it to his wife, but no." Um, yeah, but I think that primarily it is there to take care of. Yeah, okay, Reddit. You're the purpose of life insurance to replace the income. Yes, income loss that a deceased loved one would have contributed. He was contributing to his household with girlfriend, de facto wife. I'm going to read there. De facto wife. Unless he was paying his bills, he wasn't contributing to yours. Yes, that's exactly right. She should have the lion's share. Well, yeah. They wanted the house too? What? What's going on here? The plot thickens. The plot actually thickens. You didn't think it could happen. I'm going to prove you wrong. What? I don't know what this is. This is another. Not like she was left with nothing. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, but she's still got a mortgage. Emily owns the house. Okay, so Emily owns the house. So what? So what? The point of life insurance is that it replaces the money he would have earned had he not, you know, unfortunately passed away. Oh, you did? Maronia, yeah, no spoilers. No spoilers. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. It's been too long since I've seen you as well. I'm just going to put that out there. I was going to say that earlier. It's been too long since I've seen you. And you know, I know that you did debates, and I remember seeing you on Amy's, and much love. I haven't seen you for ages, and but that's okay. You got to do you. You got to do you. Um, Yeah, I think Reddit's just tearing this person in your arsehole. And I mean, part of me just wants to go, freaking boomers, like taking all the money and not, yeah. I don't think that's necessarily a boomer thing, but it is, they are boomers, and this is very boomer behavior. Like, stop thinking just of yourself. Um, so why is this stereotype of boomers only thinking of themselves? Why is it that it, really it's a whole thing of sort of the boomers were the generation after the war, and they essentially were focused on as sort of the wars happened, all these people have been killed in the war, this is the new generation, they're sort of a special generation, we've got to focus on them and get them up and running to you know go on with. This is the revitalization of the world essentially after World War II. So there is this latent idea by that generation that they are the special generation. They are the ones that are taking care of the world and doing everything and stuff like this. But really, they got a lot of incentives, a lot of privilege, a lot of stuff that they got access to, and they don't understand necessarily how hard it is for young people these days, for millennials and for Generation Z and even Generation X, which is my generation. That sort of it was harder for us. So that's why this stereotype has occurred, and I'm not saying all of them are like that. I'm not saying that it's just there's this prevalence of sort of, well, what about me? And it's sort of which is kind of hilarious because they accuse millennials of that, and I don't think millennials are that egocentric. The ones that I've met are generally um, pretty thing, but that's why the stereotype exists, and I certainly wouldn't apply that to everybody. But um, there is this situation where they were considered a special generation, a special group of people for um, sort of um, rebuilding the world after World War II. Sort of, they have to rebuild the world. They have to, get everything back and running again. And a lot of people died, so they were sort of taken care of. Um, yeah, these vultures not no, come on, Reddit, like, please, they're still grieving parents. All right, they're doing the wrong thing, but they're still grieving parents. Come on, let's not do that. And no one is wrong, apparently. Okay, well, I mean, if they're all grieving, um, you know, if you think that they should get what they want, sure. Hmm. GG, yeah. Yeah, parents that think they have failed their children, it's rough. It's so rough. Like, I know that parents that have children with mental health issues sometimes sort of they deny they have mental health issues, because if their children have mental health issues, then what kind of parent does that make me? There's got to be less stigma for parents, sort of, how you raise them if they do have some of these problems. Parents have got to let themselves off the hook for what happens to their children. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, Gg, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Like, parents do find it reflecting badly on them, and we've got to stop doing that. We've got to stop holding them responsible for that kind of thing. Well, yeah, I think if you're talking about somebody really young, if you're talking about a 5-year-old, it's kind of like, yeah, I guess the only place they've learnt it from. But if you're talking about somebody who's 21, it's definitely not the parents. That's not the parents' fault. Like, come on now. In a way, it is. So it's very, very hard to say. But all I'm saying is that you know parents need to acknowledge that they're not the only influence on their kid's life. Oh, totally true, Maya. Yeah, absolutely. We need more mental health awareness in society. Absolutely. We need more awareness of certain people's issues like ADHD, like epilepsy, DID, dissociative identity disorder. Tourette's is another one we need to have more awareness on. There's a lot of things we need more awareness on. Am I the arsehole for snapping at my brother-in-law and threatening to never let him see my kids after he told my son to be the man of the house? Um, Probably. I mean, that's a pretty innocuous comment, I suppose. Are they trans? Are they misgender or something? Is that what happened? My husband Dan the man, grew up in a single parent household. His dad died when he was young. His older brother Martin was definitely parentified and became the man of the house. Okay, so there's some baggage there. You've got some baggage about your husband. Um, Husband's brother went through a hard time being parentified. Together, Dan and I have 3 children. Sydney, 12 female. Oh, that's a nice name. I like Sydney as a name. Maybe it's because I'm Australian. I like that. Gabe, 10 male. That's cool. And Charlotte, 3 female. I like Charlotte as a name. I really do. That's a cool name. I like your name choices, Few Rush. I do. Unfortunately, Dan passed away 3 months ago. Why is everybody dying? I'm so sorry. It's a terrible struggle to try and balance my grief and my children. Maybe I should like curate these things, and stop the morbid ones. I have a great support system, so I've been cognizant to make sure my babies still have a childhood. I always said I wouldn't do what my mother-in-law did. Okay, so there's some baggage there. Recently, I was having a bit of a tough time. Charlotte was sick. Sydney is in about a million activities, and the housework is piling up. Martin's wife, Rachel, offered to come by and help me out. She generously cleaned the house and looked after Charlotte while I ran Sydney to her activities. Oh, that is so nice. Rachel's awesome. Can I just say that? Rachel is awesome. When I arrived back home, I found that Martin and Gabe in the kitchen. Martin was telling him that it shouldn't have gotten to this stressful point and he should be helping me more. He told me that he was the man of the house and it was up to him to step up. Okay, so I cut in and told Gabe not to listen to his uncle, that he is a little boy and it's not his job to take over for his father. Rather, it's his job to play, go to school, and just be a kid. I sent him to play. I tore into Martin. I asked him, how dare he say that to my son? Well, I mean, I said he may have been parentified, but he will not do the same to my son. I said if he pulled the crap like that again, he'll never see my kids again. Martin told me I was being ungrateful. He was only trying to help. He said more than anything, he was defending his wife as it's not her job to help me. I reminded him I never asked for Rachel's help. She offered. Martin said he wouldn't have if I was complaining about how hard my life is. Oh, what? What? Okay, so yeah, everyone is accusing me of alienating. Yeah, since Dan's family are telling me what a bitch I am, They say this is all Martin knows, and I was way too harsh on him, especially threatening to cut him off. They told me I need to get my shit together. Wow, okay, that's it was 3 months ago. Can we just be kinder to each other a little bit? I mean, my mother-in-law especially thinks I need to suck it up and expect my kids, not just Gabe but Sydney too, to help me with Charlotte. I told her off, and that only made it worse. Everyone is accusing me of alienating Dan's family, which is not what I'm trying to do. Edit to clarify. My children have chores and help around the house. The work in question was things that are out of their age bracket were my responsibility. That's why I was falling behind, considering I also have to take care of the kids, driving places, and doing more things that are not age appropriate or their job. Yeah, this is yeah, hello Hannah. It's so good to see you. Love your work, Hannah. Um this is sort of like she snapped and she didn't deserve to. So she was being a bit of an asshole, yeah. Like uh, I get she has a baggage about, sort of Martin being parentified when he was a child. She doesn't want that to happen to her kids. Totally understand. But to snap at somebody for just a comment, she could have said, "Hey, Martin, I know that you're trying to help, but I will, determine the things that happen with my kids and explain to the kids you can help out if you want, but these are the problems with being parentified as a like kids. People act like they can't understand a thing, like they've just got no concept at all. Um, a lot of the things that I know, my mother told me words when I was younger, and I didn't quite understand at the time, but you understand later. It helps. So she needs to talk to her kids. Um, yeah, I get that. I get that. If it wasn't for the death, yeah, no, I get that, but also, the brother's grieving as well. Let's not forget that. Just because he's a guy doesn't mean he's not feeling just as heartbroken and devastated as she is. Like, um, he's known. Like, if my brother died, I'd be devastated, like absolutely shattered. Um, so I don't think we can compare grief and compare hurt, kind of thing. It's not healthy to do so. Um, I think that she was not sensitive to him, and he wasn't sensitive to her. So actually, I'm going to sort of come down on everybody's an asshole in this situation. To be honest with you, that's my personal take. Your sort of thing might vary. Um, I think that she probably ought to have been more considerate of his well-being as well. Um, I don't think. Don't get me wrong. He was no Utsi. He was no Utsi. But and sort of saying, like, calling her a bitch and stuff is not. That's not cool. That's not cool. So, and plus, you've got to realize that even though, so let's consider perspective. Let's consider perspective. She has this inclination to go, okay, parentifying a child is really bad, and I've seen the harm it can do, and it's terrible, right? Like when you force a child to act like a parent. Got it. Yes. Martin may not have this idea in his head. He may not see it. He may be totally unaware of it, kind of thing. Um, to jump down his throat, he might not know what you're talking about. Like, it just seems to be a perspective thing. You take those healthy boundaries for your kids and you defend them with your life. Well, I mean, it's something your brother-in-law unfortunately hasn't experienced, and that's not his fault, but he's about to learn. Well, okay, so yeah, let's just double down on that anger. Yeah, JJ, flat earthers hear perspective and they're suddenly just joining. Look, they've been mad at me recently. Did you know that? the flat earthers have been really mad at me recently. I've had people like leave comments and stuff and things like that. I've made them really mad, which makes me feel good. But um, yeah, it's yeah, but yeah, no, I get that. I get that. Well, I think it triggers sort of a religious sort of, oh, my religion might not be right, GG. So they sort of, I mean, flat Earth seems to be leveraged off of religious belief these days. I've never met a flat earther um, that isn't, sort of fundamentalist um, religion. He was annoyed because his wife wasn't at home. Oh, come on, you don't know that. Your husband died 3. Stop complaining. Yeah, so that's why I think the guy was an asshole because he's kind of, you need to get over it. No, 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 no. Oh, look, I'm wrong about all kinds of things. Like seriously, but the thing is that my perspective about being wrong is it's an opportunity to learn something. Like, I like it when people say, "Hey, you're wrong," as long as they can tell me what I'm wrong about, and give me the knowledge or at least be able to find how to make that discrepancy with reality into a sort of an accurate picture of reality. That's what I want. So, I've had some awesome people come through and say, "Hey, what was one of them? The ankylosaur isn't. You mentioned it was a sauropod, and it's not a sauropod." And I don't remember doing that, but you know, um, it was good information. You're wrong, Mark. Not about being Mark. I'm not. Nah, didn't expect that. What am I wrong about? Am I wrong about this? Well, that's why there's a poll, so you can show me how I'm wrong. You should talk to the just no talk to a lawyer. No, look. You know what? You know what? I don't understand a lot of this. Why? Look, everybody gets angry, and you're in a bad place, and that's okay. That's okay. Look, and here's the thing: being an asshole in one situation doesn't necessarily mean you're a bad person. I've been an asshole. Can anybody really say they haven't been an asshole at some point in their life? Like seriously. Like if you can claim that, then you're doing way better than I am. Seriously. Like everybody is at some point or another. Why can't you just sit down and say, "Hey, like let's talk about this, and I'm sorry for snapping at you, and here's the reasons why," and share your feelings with them, and sort of share your feelings about how you're feeling with them. Even Jesus was a habitual. Yeah, he was. He also put demons in pigs, as far as I understand it, and he like smote a tree for not bearing the right fruit, even though it was a tree that didn't bear that fruit. Like, oh, not the asshole. Okay, so cuddle fuck me now. It's just me, or is that name just freaking amazing? Like, seriously, I don't, I don't, I don't know. It's just, is it me? There's a book by Casey Davis called Keeping House While Drowning. It's slightly geared towards neurodivergent ADHD folks. That's interesting. I am both of those things. There's a fantastic TikTok creator that intersperses her content with their experiences as a widow with young kids. Lack of impulse control. They're very pro education for kids related to their body, consent, proper names for body parts. I know some people don't care for that point of view. Fair warning. No, I think that's really good. Yeah. So lack of impulse control. Um, if you do have young kids that don't sort of need to be educated on yeah, life. Man's family. Yeah. Okay. I had no idea parentified was a thing. Yeah. Yeah. It definitely is. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think there is a sort of I think there's sort of a happy middle ground where you're sort of getting the kids to chip in without making them be a parent, and I think that's what this poster is doing. The ultimate list of age appropriate chores. Look, can I just say it's nice that sort of um oh no, I hope you're having fun, Mark. My day was absolutely horrendous and I'm having to numb the pain. Going to look forward to laughing, cringing in the next little while distraction. Yeah, Theros, I'm so sorry to hear that, buddy. I'm gonna send you much love, mate. I really will. I'm sorry your day was awful. Um I'm really sorry. This is just for you, mate. I yeah. Um Yeah, Theros, like, yeah, I've had so when I used to work in complaints for Australia, like Australia's largest telecommunications providers, man, I sometimes came home just just um just what the just absolutely devastated. I really feel for you. Um Yeah, I think that it's good that you share. It's good that you articulate. If you want to post in chat what's happened, 100% support you, mate. If you want to send me an email or something, please do so. Uh, yeah, I did, Maya. I did. Um, so, Australia's largest telecommunications company. Not only did I work in complaints, I worked for a a team that made outbound complaints to the very worst cases. So we would get complaints from cases that had been going on upwards of a few weeks to a few months. And the ones that had made a certain level of contact with the company, so, above 10 or so contacts, so calls in, emails, and stuff, had not been resolved. There was no resolution pending. And we called them and tried to fix whatever was going wrong, whatever that may be, whatever it may be. Um, Someone walked right. Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, yeah, yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. So um that thought of somebody sort of getting hit by your bus, and because you care, that's a fear that will occur, and I've got you, Theros. So really, what when we identify these thoughts, when we think, oh, this is going to happen and it's a fear, we have to identify those thoughts which are distorted. They're not reality. So your fear is absolutely justified. It's absolutely justified. I get that, but we've got to identify where it's a realistic fear and where it is a something that is a distorted perception of reality. So there's no reason, if you are careful and you do your best, there's no reason why that will happen. Theros Rex. There are people that go through their entire driving careers, they don't hit anybody. but I get you're concerned. I get your concern. Um, yeah, relax, let it go. It didn't happen, so but totally understandable why you panicked. Anybody in that situation would feel exactly the same thing. I really feel for you. Um, I think, and maybe talk to your company about it, see if you can get some support with it, um, because it's a completely reasonable fear in that line of work. Absolutely reasonable. Um, but all the best, dearest. Look, I'm going to send you another love heart because that is incredibly frightening. And that's someone mentioned CBD. That's Gigi mentioned CBD. That's basically what CBD is. It's basically identifying those thoughts that we know aren't real. We know that then they're distortions on what reality actually is. Identifying what they are and then how we switch them to something else. And it takes a lot of work. Um, it's a lot of work. Yeah, can we have hugs and love for Theros who's gone through a hard time? Absolutely. Absolutely. Nobody could see them going around the corner. Oh, yeah. No, that's frightening, mate. That's absolutely frightening. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 I presume that's what they meant. That's what I presume that Gigi meant was CBT. Yeah, absolutely. I can imagine. I can imagine because even when even when you have a near miss in a car, it's shocking. I can only imagine in a bus when there's somebody on foot. That is you know. Oh, oh, the relaxing part of weed, no drugs. Yeah. So I would never recommend like if your doctor prescribes it, that's fine. I personally, for things that I'm doing, I avoid substance because all substance is addictive, doesn't matter what it is. It's because when you're replacing sort of when you're using something to soothe yourself, um whether that be substance or gambling or any kind of behavior to soothe yourself, it is automatically addictive. um so yeah, but yeah, much love, Theros. That's scary, mate. And I know that um, I mean, there's people like my wife. She never, well, not like she never, but she lives in her own head a lot. She's very very creative, very very um um imaginative and incredibly imaginative. So she sort of she sometimes doesn't look, and it worries me. It scares me that people don't look and don't, especially my wife doesn't look and doesn't listen for traffic. But it's not like she's trying to. She's just in her own head, which is fine, and I love her for it. But at the same time, it frightens me. And she's gotten a lot better. She's gotten a lot better about it. But when she was younger, she'd sort of be in her own head and her own creativity, which is gorgeous, but yeah, not good for traffic. Kind of any kind of way. Yeah, no, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Well, Gigi, I would probably, before embarking on any kind of sort of um, any kind of substance or any kind of thing, I would probably talk to a doctor and talk to your company about what they look for in it, because if it has a substance in there, um, I I I would probably check before going onto it. Well, so now we've got a fight. So check with doctors, right? Check with your doctor, check with your company. Get more information. Unfortunately, there's no magic pill for fears and things like that. It takes a lot of work. Are you speaking from experience, Big Bad Mama? Have you mixed up those two before, CBD and DMT? Have you mixed up that before? Here it's the government selling it over the counter. I don't know. Where are you, Gigi? What country are you in? Or state are you in, I guess? Um, medication, I suppose it is. Yeah. So CBD in Australia, it's only available on prescription. Okay, so only available on prescription. I can check. Oh, Canada. Right, 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 right. So it may be different in Canada. Nadia. Consistent with the controlled status of CBD internationally, CBD is a controlled substance in Canada and other jurisdictions. As a result, CBD and products containing CBD are subject to all the rules and requirements that apply to cannabis under the Cannabis Act and its regulations. So you need a medical prescription in Canada, apparently. Yeah, I mean, I think that perhaps before going on anything, you should probably see a doctor. Even sort of diet pills and stuff, or dieting stuff. Like I mean that is difficult, and I must admit that yeah, Canada cannabis is fun to say. Okay, yeah. All right. Back to what I'm actually doing. But that's okay, Theris. I hope you're well. You chill out, man. Like this is not anything serious. We're just going through stuff. Um, you know, just judging people, just seeing who's good and bad. So relax, vote, just sort of, yeah, chill. Uh, if you'd only stop. Yeah, that's what I think about you, Reddit. If you'd only stop, Reddit. Am I the asshole for not watching kids at a cookout and leaving them unsupervised? Probably. Cookout, like barbecue kind of thing. Is a cookout a barbecue? Is that? We don't use the word cookout. Like, is it a barbecue? I, 27 male, was at a backyard cookout with some friends and co-workers. Look, I'm just going to insert barbecue, a Barbie. Yeah, Barbie. All right. I was a backyard Barbie with some friends and co-workers. So the ages were late 20s to early 40s. It was family-friendly event, so people brought their kids. So people brought their ankle biters. They were playing in the yard while most of the adults hung out on the backyard deck. Don't you love how New Zealand people like pronounce deck? I was out on the deck, and like always, the parents saw other adults in the area and decided to walk away and go into. Like, tell me if you can't understand my horrendous Australian accent when I exaggerate it. Like, please tell me if you can't understand a damn word. Um, I don't know why this is a thing a lot of parents tend to do. Parents, why don't you just walk away at outings and expect other people to watch your kids? In case anyone's like, yeah, 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 how Aussie I am. I can certainly exaggerate my accent. That's certainly a thing. Like most people can exaggerate their accent, right? Like they can all do it. Um, I could see it. I could see if it's your immediate family, but then I would warn someone that I was not going to be watching for the safety of my ankle biters. Okay, so they saw so they just saw other adults and went, okay. They walk away and expect other people to watch your kids. Probably. I mean, they're probably not too concerned if an adult is around. It was near the end of the night, so some people were gone. It was also getting dark and colder, so people were inside. The kids were still running around playing outside, so I decided to go home. I went inside and said goodbye to the host. Then I got in my car out front and was on my phone for a minute, and someone angrily walked up and asked why I left the backyard. They said I was back there and they were counting on me to watch the kid. Look, you can't just, like, seriously? Note that this was never said to me. They just went inside and said nothing. I was on the deck and at no point in the night was over paying attention to the kids. Nothing dangerous happened to the kids. The parent just saw me walking to my car and freaked out. I told her it's not my job to watch your kids and I probably would have stuck around if I was asked. Yeah, I look, maybe you could have gone inside and said, "Hey, I'm leaving. Anyone with kids outside, I'm not watching them anymore." I was sitting on the deck drinking beer and minding my own business. I had already been going back and forth from outside to socialize the whole night like everyone else. Not sure why I was the one singled out. Yeah, yeah. There were times when another person happened to be outside and I was inside. Did they assume we were taking shifts? I don't get the mentality of parents, but maybe I'm the arsehole here. No, I don't think so. I mean, you're at a party. You can't just expect, like, but you want to, hello, Skywatcher. Yeah, I know, I know. We've got stupid laws, man. Like, seriously, it should at least be decriminalised and available with prescription. I don't know why Australia is. It's just Australia is weird. It's really weird, and lots of love, Skywatcher. We're kind of the people, right? The people of Australia are really progressive, like really progressive. We you know let we do the Mardi Gras in Sydney, the gay Mardi Gras. We like we have a real progressive mentality as far as women and all of these things, but the censors of movies and games are back in the Stone Age, and so are like the sort of um, the drug administration, I guess you'd call it. That I don't know why we're really really weird. Also, want to note the backyard is not fenced off. She bought up that a lot, and I just restored it. Even more reason to stay with your kids. The backyard is one of those open ones that opens into the forest. The forest? That's cool. Before this gets out of hand, I did not drive drunk. I had a single drink and was not drunk or even somewhat tipsy. Yeah, so it wasn't a random drunk, Maya. They would just had a drink. That's all. Edit. I don't think it's clear, so I was clarify. I had no knowledge of being on kid duty. The backyard is large and open and leading to the forest. I was on a small deck by the house. At no point in the night was I watching or listening for kids. The whole night I was periodically going inside and outside freely. Never considered kids, so I assumed the responsible parents would keep an eye out. Look, I mean, look, okay, so here's the thing. Here's the thing. Kids are not that, like you don't have to sit there and watch over the kids like a frigging hawk. You just keep an eye on them, right? Like, I don't know. This is kind of weird that you're expecting some stranger to keep an eye on your kids, kind of thing. You don't know who this guy is. This guy could be a complete monster. Like, seriously, if you're worried about your kids, you keep an eye on them. Yeah. No, they didn't have any kids themselves, Aussie Gold. I don't think they had any kids. They're just, yeah, they're just, you know, expected to yeah, it's kind of weird. Yeah, I'm gonna go with not the asshole, frankly. I don't like. I'm just thinking, if I was 27 and somebody did that, I'd be like, why do you expect me to watch your kids? Like, I'm not responsible for your children. If I say that I'm gonna watch your kids, that's a different story. If you say, "Hey, can you watch my kids for a bit?" And I say, "Yeah, yeah, no, I'll keep an eye on them." Then if I'm leaving, I would go to them and say, "Hey, I'm leaving. You're going to have to watch your kids for yourself now." Um, yeah, yeah, make sure you take care of yourself, Skywatcher. Yeah. I gotcha. To be honest with you, I mean, I used to smoke weed when I was younger, a lot, and that certainly wasn't with prescription or anything. That was totally illegal. Um, I don't anymore. I find that it slows me down. It does slow me down. Once I sort of got into an IT field and stuff, if I had some, um, I was slow. I was not up to speed, and after a while, I noticed a trend of needing sort of a week or so to get back up to speed. My brain would be sort of in very limited during that time. So, um, I um, I basically said, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore because it is slowing me down. And yeah, I like being, sort of, um, having being able to be cognizant and clarified, and it's just sort of sharp. So it made work harder, it made things harder. So yeah, and I guess occasionally I'd get sort of a paranoid thing, which I didn't like. That, I really hated that. So that's another reason, kind of thing. Just makes you sleeping there. Yeah, no, fair enough. I've got a friend that happens. In fact, I've got one friend. He just like whenever he smoked weed, he just turned green and started vomiting. Like, it just did not agree with him for whatever reason. I don't know why. I don't know why. He just, really didn't agree with him at all. You are not a babysitter. Yeah, you're not. Holy cow! This blew up. Rip inbox. Got to turn those notifications off. Dominant Gaming. Uh, I'd already assumed you were going to do it. Yeah, you can't assume somebody's going to watch your kids. Come on. And plus, I don't know. Is this a thing nowadays? You can't leave your kids unsupervised in any situation. Like, if they're in a backyard just playing, I mean, who cares? Who cares? Mm. No, no, I get you, GG, but sort of in Australia, it's still under the same banner. Like I said, Australia is really precious when it comes to that kind of thing. Um, Clearly not the arsehole. Yeah, Reddit's just sort of. So, I wonder why the parent was. Oh no, totally. Like I said about the guy that didn't just sort of turned green and threw up. Like, he was my best friend, and people are affected differently. Skywatcher, totally differently. That's the thing. Like, it's almost like nobody's affected the same. So I totally get it. It's fine. Yeah, I don't, I mean, I don't know how old these kids were. If they were like in kindergarten age, maybe you do need someone to watch them. But if they were a bit older, like, kids are generally pretty resilient. I don't see the problem with sort of leaving them to play if adults are around, not just necessarily have, um, the eye on it. When I was a wee lass, my dad used to grab our arms and throw us into bed. Yeah, I remember some of the happiest childhood memories I have is my dad like throwing me around a pool kind of thing. Like, yeah, I mean, I don't see him being deserved being yelled at. It's your own damn kids. He's not a babysitter. I gotcha. Yeah, yeah. I'm more and more as I'm reading this. I'm leaning towards like, yeah. So responsibility for kids, unless they ask and you agree. I agree with you, short line. They specifically ask. So that's the burden of responsibility on children is the parents because they have basically agreed to raise this child. I realize that might be like, obvious kind of thing. It might be, well, yeah, of course they've agreed. They're the parent. Yeah. But until that responsibility is passed off to somebody else by some sort of informal verbal agreement, you can't just pass off responsibility for people watching your kid. I mean, you wouldn't be at a shopping center and just leave because there's people around and you expect them to be responsible for your kid, right? In what other situation would you do this? Yeah, no, I don't understand either, mate. It's really weird. Like if they had said, "Hey, do you mind watching my kid?" and he went, "Yeah, yeah, sure, as long as I'm out here," I would understand if they're angry if he just walked away. I would understand that if he actually verbally said, "Yes, I will watch them." Like, and why didn't you come in and tell me you weren't watching? Totally understand, but why that's just a thing? Are people doing this? Are people like going to places and like as long as there's people around, they just leave their kids? Doesn't sound very good. Not the asshole. Yeah, and that annoys me as well when people are sort of like, I'm going to get drunk and I'll expect someone else to drive me home, kind of thing. I'll expect someone else to be sober. Is a weird thing. It's very strange. Like I'm not going to be responsible and just rely on somebody else to be responsible. It's very strange. It took me a while to figure out none of the kids were even yours. Yeah, because the reaction made no sense. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, most parents, well, most Reddit parents are sort of saying they'd never just foist their kids off onto some random person without asking. People need to stop breeding. People are no longer capable of raising offspring and need to stop. All right, just chill, Reddit. Seriously. Yeah, random as hell. Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Look, I get that parenting is hard, but it's supposed to be, I guess. I don't think you can just expect others to take up your parenting duties because you're at a party. Uh, I don't. Maybe you can. Maybe you can. Maybe it's like a bottle of wine that you bring that you just put it out for the party. Like the party shares your children. Now it's everybody's responsibility. Like a fine bottle of wine that you bring. Everybody's welcome to the responsibility of consuming. Um, Poster is awesome, awesome, like Utsi. And Utsi is awesome. Very awesome. All right, I might do one more and wrap it up. But it's so good to see all of you. Especially and so much love and hugs for Theros, who's gone through a really hard time. Totally understand, mate. Like seriously. Um, You know what? In that job that I mentioned, once I was in the what had happened was that they'd sent out all of these devices and they were put on random locations in this massive apartment complex, and the modems were pushing details down to the connections, but because they were done by which modem it was and they were put on random connections, they didn't know the phone numbers for any of the connections. Like they had voice over internet protocol, VoIP phone numbers. So I had to work out a way of finding out what numbers belong to what and which modems were on what connections. And I used to go home with my brain broken, like just broken. I was, don't ask. All the headache, none of the alcohol. Yeah, 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 yeah. Share those kids' responsibilities. Temporary rip. Am I the asshole for saying my girls need to start adapting to sharing a room? I don't think so. I think that's a matter of necessity. Not is there any options? My wife and I are in the process of getting a divorce. Well, that's sad. A lot of them have been sad. I liked the last one because it wasn't, a massive downer. We have two daughters that are 14 and 11. Initially, we were trying the whole one of us stays there 1 week and then the other while renting an apartment. Yeah, that's really hard to do. Really, just one person has to take the house, I'm afraid. Presumably, the person who's going to be the primary caregiver going forward. If you want to split it equally, then you'll have to discuss that. Never easy. Always thingo. How do you do with that, Sky? What do you haven't renewed your license in 4 years? Do you sort of just take public transport? How does that? Because public transport over here is pretty bad. So yeah, I can't imagine doing that. This was to keep the children in one home and have minimal disruption. However, it just wasn't working out for any of us, but especially the girls. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can imagine like one person moving and staying there, then having to move somewhere else. No, it's just too complex. We decided I would get my own place and my wife would keep the house, but the girls alternating between us every week. At the house, my girls each have their own room. Ah, yes. I tried to find a place that had 3 bedrooms, but they were out of my price range. At this time, I can't afford to buy a house, so I'm renting. I found a decently sized apartment and decided my girls could take the master bedroom as it's bigger and would fit 2 beds. I got a divider and tried to make it so they'd each have some privacy. Look, this guy is trying. Poor guy. I'm going to say not the asshole straight off the bat. Like, seriously. They hate it and I understand it's not what they're used to and it's very different. There's a lot of bickering. We've had this arrangement for a couple of months now. I've tried my best to keep the peace. I told them hopefully by next year they'll have a bigger place. My wife has been shaming me for forcing them to share a room. What? Why? You've got the house. Oh, come on, lady. You've got the house. Like, why are you shaming him for making your life easier by Oh, come on. She says I should sleep in the living room. One, it's not big enough for a pull-out air mattress. Two, I really do not think this is a big deal in the grand scheme of things. I shared a room growing up, and was it fun? No, but it was the situation. I told my girls that I sympathize and I understand it's hard, but they do have to adapt. My wife says I should put up with the complaining. Am I the asshole for expecting them to start adapting versus complaining every single day? I've accommodated them my best I can. The divider, letting them decorate their respective side as they want, letting one go into my room if they need a breather from the other. But at this point, it's time to start learning to adapt. Am I the asshole? No, no, you're doing your best, my man. Like, seriously, I don't think so. I'm going to come down on it. I don't think so because you're doing your best. Like, I just don't like if you're sleeping out in the living room, that's going to be horrendous. You've given them the big room and put a divider. Yeah, I mean it sucks. I get it, but nothing about this situation is not going to suck. I get it. I do get it. I mean, I yeah, and look, I get that the girls it is like the destruction of their world because like when my parents went through a divorce, it was hard. It was hard. Yeah, and yeah. Um let kid well their mother might not want to do that. That would be ideal, but he might want to have the kids like because don't forget if he wants to see the kids for a couple of days it means he's got to go back there every couple of days kind of thing. There might be at the end. Well, I'd say not. BBM. I'd say not because they don't like the living situation. But if the wife does not want sole custody and sort of wants some time, the week off kind of thing, then there's not a lot you can do, right? You've got to contribute to taking care of your girls. Um, I think that none of this is going to be a good situation. It's really sad. Not the asshole. She's entitled to have opinion, but that's just her. You can do whatever the heck you want. Yeah. So yeah, I must admit I do see a lot of this, like people that get divorced and then go, oh, but they're saying this. Let them say it. That's fine. You don't have to listen to them anymore. So um, yeah, it's nice to listen and sort of take it on board, but you don't have to do what you don't have to do in your life what your ex tells you to. Ex needs to shut a trap. Let it. Yeah. So the ex, like, she doesn't get it. Like, she's got the house. Keeping the house and pay prior marriage with purchase lot together. I've seen his other comments that specified the house belonged to her prior to marriage, so there's a situation where I agree it makes sense for her to keep the house. Yeah, yeah. This guy's definitely not the asshole. Yeah, I kind of agree. Kind of agree. Sending healthy power internet vibes to you, your mum, and your brothers. Oh, what's that? Like with my parents, as soon as they bought the house, my dad let all his certifications lapse and refused to get a regular job, so my mum had to pay for literally everything. Oh, and this was around the time the real estate collapsed. Oh, they almost foreclosed twice, both times. So my mum managed to scrape up enough hours on the second job she was forced to take. Yeah, this is rough. And she finally had enough and kicked him out after he started an affair. Definitely emotional, maybe physical. We never proved it. He made it perfectly clear, not just to her, but to the judge, he had zero intention of getting his job back so he could pay child support. He and his now wife bounced around from friend's house to friend's house, homeless every couple of years because he didn't want to get a job. And his wife said it was God's calling for her to be a stay-at-home mum. Uh, it, come on, like seriously. Okay. I wonder if this is Nathan Thompson. No, never mind. Never mind. So yeah, technically we What they were married. Why the hell should I have to buy his share? Yeah, okay, that's a horrible story. What a big dick. Yeah, it's not okay to belittle him for the situation. Come on, he's trying as much as he can. He's not being an ass. He's not saying, "Oh, I'm going to shove them in the small room and they can just put up or shut up." He's trying to compromise. Utsi, what is Utsi? Utsi, Utsi is a mummy that died like 5,000 years ago. That's Utsi. Fascinating stuff. They could even do like a timeline of oh, that was that kid's age appropriate toddlers, preschoolers. Put that in chat. So child development, appropriate chores by age. You know what? As sort of somebody who has sort of autism, this sort of helps. Like, what can they do at what age? Wash the dishes. I was washing the dishes at that age, definitely. Yeah, primary schoolers. Yeah, yeah. Toddlers put their toys away, toes clean, wipe up spills. That's cool. I got to admit that when my parents divorced, they were kind of brutal about it. To be honest with you, um, we were told that my parents were divorcing on Boxing Day, so one day after Christmas, and then we were expected to go around my uncle's place, kind of thing, and do the Boxing Day extended family stuff, which I bowed out. My brother, he's less emotional than I am, much less emotional, and he was fine. Um, I wasn't fine. It wasn't good. It wasn't good. I was very upset. Ooh. Okay. Well, let's see what the crowd said. Hello, Titan. It's really good to see you. Let's see what the yeah, poster is awesome. Yeah, no, this guy's just doing his best. Like, seriously, why anybody would like, you know, definitely not the asshole. Okay, well, I mean, that will call it. To just give you an idea of what I'm doing, I'm still trying to get some more debates. I'm finding it hard to get religious debates at the moment. I don't know why. I think at the moment most Christians and the atheists are teaming up on the Islamic people, to be honest with you. It's sort of um seems to be easier to for the Christians to go for Islam than it does for atheism. So um, although I may have a debate with the lovely and gorgeous Bree coming up, and Bree, I see you in the audience. Much love. Um, I may have a debate. We'll see if we can get it organized, which I'll probably lose because Bree is amazing and it's about animals, which is sort of definitely her wheelhouse. I'll tell you that right now. So I'll look forward to that because that sounds like interesting stuff. I have not gotten a response from Debate Cafe yet, but hopefully they will give me a response. Um, could you debate epistemology with a religious or flat earth? Of course, I could debate epistemology. Most of debate is epistemology. That's all we have access to. So, I mean, um, epistemology is how we know what we know and why we believe what we believe. So it's basically justification for what we say is true or factual or sort of reality. So um, no doubt, Maya. I have no doubt. Um, so our epistemology is how we know everything that we know. So definitely you can debate that. In fact, most debates are about epistemology, because the opposing idea is ontology, which is how things actually are regardless of who believes in them, kind of thing. So um, you can't access that. You can't access an ontology, which is weird when people say, no, I have access to an ontology, I know that is the case. Well, as soon as you start saying knowing, you're talking about epistemology. So usually debates are about epistemology. How do you justify what you're saying is true? But sort of, you're talking a meta, sort of a meta level of epistemology, so meta epistemology. You're sort of talking about the methodologies in what you're using. So yeah, I mean that's a good debate. Can you justify your methodology for religion or flat Earth? How would you justify that? Sure, but I think you can debate almost anything. Very. Have you met me, Big Bad Mama? Have you met me? Of course, I can disagree with anybody. Um, yeah, well, it depends who, GG. Honestly, it depends who you're talking to. Sometimes they just presuppose the conclusion right up front. Absolutely grant you that. Yes, the presuppositionalists. I'm looking at you guys. Um, they absolutely skip to the conclusion, and totally, yeah. Evidentialists, they're a bit thingo. No, let's not pick on Wesley. Wesley has issues. Let's not pick on Wesley, please. Yep. So the debate will, if we get it up and running, which will be fantastic, it'll be about do animals have morality? So that would be fantastic, and I love Brie. So there's no way I can be nasty with Brie because it's Brie. So yeah. But thank you so much for joining me. As always, don't forget to be kind to yourself, and please try and be kind to others, especially people that have gotten divorced and trying to set up a home for their kids and they don't have a lot of stuff, or people that have just lost somebody, or people that have had a really bad day and they've been scared by an event, and they need love and understanding. And this is a big heart for you, Theros Rex. I hope that you are. I hope that you're well. I hope that you take some time and do be kind to yourself, mate. Do realize that your feelings are valid. That's a valid feeling of fear about this kind of stuff, and be kind to yourself. And all the best. If you do need to, hit me up, buddy. But thank you so much for joining me. Really enjoyed this, and do take care. Good night or good morning, and yeah, much love, everybody.